So first of all, we have the death card. This is, walking through the tunnel and emerging on the other side where there are, the environment is just streaming with bright lights. It's just streaming with newness. It's streaming with just a lot of new opportunities, okay? Some of you might have just been, walking through this dark tunnel, and the main thing that you had to look forward to was, leading you was that light at the end of the tunnel. Okay. And I feel for many of you, this might have been, it's not so dark in this depiction. It's like you can still see your way. You still feel okay. You're still safe. You're in the confines of this tunnel. But the tunnel can feel a little bit claustrophobic and a little bit small and confining, right? So I feel like you were in an environment where it just felt a little bit stagnant. It felt a little bit dank and possibly damp and possibly kind of muggy. And you like your cleanliness. You like to be able to see things. You like to have full visibility. You like to know what's in your environment. Many of you might be germaphobes, and you're just a neat freak. And I feel like, for a Virgo to be in a tunnel, it's just not a good environment. And so that's what it felt like. It felt almost very linear, very structured. You can only walk straight ahead or backwards. There wasn't enough room for experimentation. There wasn't enough room for, taking a detour. So the view, the sight, the day-to-day routine was not overly inspiring. And you knew there's light at the end of the tunnel. You knew this is going to come to an end. And you knew this confining space that you've been in is going to open up, and it's going to open up in a very tremendously amazing way, because there's, a lot more light, visibility, freedom, and just room and space at the end of this tunnel. And you've been waiting for it, and it's finally emerging for you, okay? And so this is a lot about, the change in the environment, okay? And then with the change in the vessel, what I have here is the two cards that perfectly depicts this, that image that I saw earlier. We have here the Five of Cups. This is a situation where, the traditional Rider-Waite deck, the Five of Cups is missed opportunities, regrets, things that we should have done, but we, for whatever reason, allow time to pass us, things that we should have said, things that we should have invested our time in, things that we should have paid careful attention to. For whatever reason, it slipped under the radar. We say we're going to get to it. We never did. And then the opportunity slips us by. Okay. And this is also indicative of a situation where, the cups have already run dry. It's an old stagnant energy. There's cracks in it. And it's also a situation where, there's a lot of burden. Okay, so the four saucers, the four teacups are kind of like stacked on top of this thing, and this thing is fractured. So it's sort of like carrying the weight of a situation. Virgo people are really big when it comes to responsibility and helping others, wanting to be of service to others. And I feel like I guess like the recent year, okay, this could be like the past 4 years, the past 5 years. I feel almost like many of you have come into your own, and you're realizing as well that you're very capable. Like you're more capable than the people that you work with. You're more capable than the supervisor, than the boss, than the people that you take orders from. You're definitely more reliable. And you're also realizing that, I'm such a good worker. Why am I not getting rewarded? Why is more responsibility dumped on me? I should be cherished for my ability to be responsible and get things done and to carry my weight. Why is it that when I do more, I'm given more work, more tasks, more responsibilities? Why aren't other people held accountable for the things that they do? Why am I carrying the burden? Why am I, the workhorse? Why am I carrying the weight of this situation, this environment? And, in the past, okay, and especially for some of you who are young, And from young, I mean, you know, just like you're starting to come into your own, you're starting to learn about yourself. And, you know, age is all relative. So I feel like, you know, when people give you responsibility, give you greater responsibility, or give you tasks, it makes you happy because it keeps you busy, right? And then you also feel like, oh, they're noticing me. They're noticing my potential. They're noticing my capabilities. They're noticing how good of a worker I am. That's why they're giving me responsibility. And in a way, it's sort of like, it's flattering. But then over time, you feel like you're working faster than everybody else. And so you're given twice the work. It's not fair. And many of you are coming to the realization that this is not, I'm enabling a situation. I need to speak up for myself. I need to not, you know, carry the burden anymore. And people need to stop forcing the responsibilities on me just because I'm capable. If I'm not there, what's going to happen? Who's going to carry the burden? How is that place going to survive? And I feel almost like you come into a place where you are practicing loving detachment, okay? No longer wanting to be mother hen, you know, making sure everything runs smoothly. You're starting to detach yourself because you're realizing that you're subsidizing a situation. You're enabling a situation to continue to be unfair. And so there's definitely a change in the guards, a change in the times, a change in your perspective, a major, major paradigm shift when it comes to what you're willing or not willing to kind of take on, okay? You're in a position where you are picky, and that's great, picky about what you are willing to do, what you're not. You're picky about, you know, what projects to take on and what projects to leave behind, who to work with and who not to work with. And you're coming into that sense of discernment, no longer, you know, wanting to please everybody. You're in a very good position where you have, you know, good bargaining power and you're able to kind of like dictate the rules of the game, okay? And this came about through this sense of like, we're coming here from the Five of Cups. So if you can just imagine if these were cups, right, that were full, but they're all cracked. They're all cracked, so they're not able to hold water, to hold their own weight, right? And so we're changing the vessel. We're pouring everything that it was used to be held within these broken containers or cups. And we're switching the vessel. We're pouring it into here. And so I feel like you are redirecting your energy away from this mess, away from this situation that is very burdensome and very tiring and very unfair and unbalanced. You're redirecting your precious stream of gold here, okay? Falling into this cup. It's wonderful because this is about self-love, self-care. This is definitely as well about, you know, putting yourself first, doing things that make you happy rather than accommodating everybody else. And Virgo, it's okay to be selfish. You've spent your whole life working for other people. It's time to draw back your energy and take care of yourself and do things that you love. You know, work might be hectic. And if you're just like, I don't want to go to work today. I'd rather go have a picnic. I'd rather go hiking. I'd rather go watch a movie. You know, the work is still going to be there when you get back, right? So take that day off. Do that mental health day, or, you know, do whatever it is that you feel like your soul and your body needs, because you deserve it. So I definitely see here a redirecting in your energy, a refilling or a changing of a vessel, a changing in the way that you do things, a changing in the way in which you preserve and conserve your energy for things that really matter, that are important to you. And I feel like many of you are coming into your own, learning to say no, learning to tell people to back off, learning to tell people to, like, I want to say the energy is a little bit like no nonsense, okay? It's almost like the Queen of Swords. It's sort of like, no, you can do it yourself. You know, I can help you, but you can do it yourself as well. So I feel like you're giving people a piece of their mind because you were in a situation where it wasn't fair, okay? So there is a second message. I'm going to get to it really, really fast. And the second message is very cute. I really like it. Okay, so the second message is I see this little boy. Okay, he's got like a pet cat or something next to him, and he's just kind of skipping with his cat. He looks like he's about 5 or 6, so a very young boy. It's very cartoony. So he's just running, skipping on a dirt road. The cat is, by his legs, and he starts to hear like a dog whimpering or crying. So he walks towards, he tries to find like the source of where the noise is coming from, a crying dog. And then he goes towards this well and he realizes there's a dog stuck at the bottom of the well, and the well is really deep, okay? So there's no pail, there's no, the drawstrings where you draw up the water. It's not there. So it's not like, and there's no water in the well. So he can't really jump in and save the dog. And even if he were to jump in, he's going to be stuck. So he's just trying to think, how to get the dog out of there. And I guess this is a make-believe world. So there's no adults nearby that he can come to and ask for help. There's no firemen. There's no animal control, right? So it's just him, the cat, and the dog stuck in the well. And then you kind of see him, this light bulb comes over his head. So he has an idea. And then he like runs off out of frame, and then he comes back with like a hot air, like with a balloon, okay? And he like ties a rock to the balloon, he tosses it down, and then I don't know how, I didn't see it, when he tossed the balloon down to the well, the dog bites the balloon, the rock comes off, and then the balloon magically lifts this dog out of this well. Okay, so like it's not supposed to make sense. It is very cartoony. I don't know how the rock fell off. I don't know how the dog is able to grab onto the single balloon string, and I don't even know how that one helium balloon is able to lift a dog. Okay, so it's not supposed to make sense, but it worked. Okay, so I almost feel like there's a sense of magic, and there's a sense of like, let's do it and wish for the best and hope for the best. And once you have that sense of childlike wonder and amazement and, creativity and thinking like a child, where everything is magical, where the laws of physics and the laws of the real world don't apply. Once we start to train our mind to think in that way, where the possibilities are endless, we start to see a lot of magical things happen. We start to see a lot of problems resolve on their own. And we start to see that whatever we have boxed ourselves into, whatever, self-sabotaging thoughts or like, things we tell ourselves, oh, it's not going to work because it defies logic, or it's not going to work because I don't know how it's physically possible. Once we let go of those thoughts that really hold us back, we can implement a lot of good changes. We can solve a lot of problems. And I feel like we can, make great strides because we're letting go of the self-limiting belief. Okay, so this is a month where I feel like the universe is really urging you to kind of like shut down that adult brain, okay? Stop thinking about like the negatives. Stop dwelling on the negatives. Stop dwelling on the problems and think a little bit more outside the box. Think a little bit more like a child, where the world is full of possibilities. The possibilities are endless. The child does not know the constraints of the real world or the physical world. The child does not know limitations, okay? And so once you start to do that, you're going to realize that, dreams can happen overnight. You're going to realize that, you will be able to make magic happen by letting go of those self-limiting beliefs, okay? And the card to me that really indicates this, and the two cards that jumped out when this imagery came out was this. Well, I guess 3. Okay, so this is very Egyptian. Okay, so this is the moon, and the moon is about psychic abilities, intuition, It's also a state where I feel like for many of you, the moon deals with emotions and the fluctuations of the emotions, right? So I feel like for many of you, you have mastered the emotion, okay? Not letting people guilt trip you, for example, okay? Understanding that when they're guilt tripping you, they're trying to make you, coerce you in a very manipulative way to do something that you might not want to do, okay? Not letting people sway you with their emotion either, okay? Some people are that you have been dealing with, I feel like they make bad decisions and then they come and cry to you about it. And I feel really unfortunate. I feel bad for those people. But I feel like you're starting to kind of like, this is like the crown chakra, detaching ourselves from this messy emotional space, okay? This is not to say like don't feel things. This is not to say being so disconnected that we're not sympathetic. This is more to say learning to compartmentalize, learning to check your emotions at the door, learning not to let your emotional state cloud your judgment, learning not to let your emotional reaction to a certain person kind of like bias the way in which you interact with them. Does that make sense? So I feel like this is a mastery over the emotion. And I'm getting somewhere with this because I feel like, this is a card that is very Egyptian in its symbolism, okay? So we have here a god, okay? Possibly the god of the moon, god of intuition, god of secrecy. And I feel like the way this card came out, it's very powerful. It's basically somebody who knows how to work with the elements. It's somebody who knows and understands human nature. And it's somebody who knows how to harness the energy of the tides, harness the energy when it comes to like divine timing in order to make dreams happen. For many of you, I definitely feel like you have some spiritual guidance helping you behind the scenes to push things for you. And I feel like this message is coming in to tell you that, if you find yourself at the bottom of that dry well, there's going to be, somebody coming in, tossing you a balloon to lift you up, okay? So for those of you who have been, if you have been dealing with depression, if you have been dealing with a situation where you're just like, when is it going to end, okay? If you find yourself in a dank, dark place and you're just like, I need a helping hand, it's going to come into the picture to rescue you, okay? So I do see a change in environment, a change in the vessel, and the time is coming, okay? So we have a really powerful card here that indicates that. And what else is coming through is, this is the limitations, okay? This is the Four of Wands in the traditional Rider-Waite deck. It's celebration, family, happy home. But in this deck, it is about restrictions. Restrictions that don't really have any bearing in the real world, okay? Restrictions that we impose upon ourselves. It's a situation where somebody hastily slapped something together and called it a day. And then the person that comes in after them are just like, oh, this is the way it's been done in the past, so let's do it in the future. And they didn't take the time to realize that this was very sloppily slapped together. It doesn't really hold weight. It doesn't really, doesn't serve as awning or coverage for anybody from the elements, right? It was just not done very well. And yet they're just like, oh, that's the way it was done in the past, so that's the way we're doing it now. Not questioning what came before, not questioning what needs to change. Taking and accepting the status quo. And the four energies deal with stability. It's like the four legs of a table. If the four legs of the table are of equal length, the table doesn't wobble, right? So in a way, it's very stable, but it can be very, very rigid. So I feel like there's a situation here where you're kind of forced to uproot, okay? That cactus is coming back. Uproot, transplant, fix, break out of the status quo, or put yourself in a different situation, or like this environment is no longer serving you, so it's time for you to find something else that is a lot more stable, okay? So I feel here that imagery with the, divine sense of timing, and then also a helping hand, to be able, like, that's going to be coming into the picture. Okay, so you have some really strong spiritual guidance from behind the scenes. Okay, the other thing that I'm sensing, so those two images aside, I feel like they have covered sufficiently the first row. And so we're talking about the second row now. This is your energy here, King of Pentacles, okay? You can be male or female, it doesn't really matter. This is a card that spells to me raw power, okay? Elephants are very, regal creatures, okay? They live into old age. They have a really long lifespan. I believe they also have the same gestation period as humans, if not like a month longer. So I don't remember if it's 9 or 10 months, but they have, or maybe it's more. You know what? I'm a little bit curious. So give me just a moment. Let me Google that.